In 2018, the entire Asian continent fell under the spell of a single gaze. It belonged to Fu Heng, the loyal, tragic, and breathtakingly handsome guard in Story of Yanxi Palace. That man was Su Kai. With a face that seemed sculpted by the gods themselves, he didn't just enter the industry. He conquered it overnight. He was the gold standard of visual perfection, a man who could command the screen without saying a single word. But looking back, that peak was a dangerous trap. It created an illusion that beauty alone was enough to sustain a legacy. The Fu Heng fever was so intense that it blinded everyone, including Su Kai himself. He became the darling of Yuzhong, the industry's most controversial kingmaker, and was handed the keys to the kingdom. He had the world at his feet, the luxury brands, the obsessed fandom, and a mountain of scripts. But instead of using that momentum to sharpen his craft, he stayed comfortable. He allowed his early success to become a gilded cage, where he was rewarded for simply showing up and looking so-so. His famous nickname that would eventually describe his acting more than his looks. The tragedy of Part 1 is the birth of a C-biz laborer. While his peers were fighting for depth and prestige, Su Kai began his transformation into a machine. He traded the soul of an actor for the efficiency of a factory worker. He became the resident of Hengdian, jumping from one set to another without pausing to breathe or think. The world expected the next legendary leading man, but what they got was a man who forgot that a heartthrob's expiration date is much shorter than an actor's career. The Fu Heng era wasn't the beginning of a legend. It was the start of a beautiful decline. Why does Su Kai seem to be everywhere, yet nowhere at the same time? Welcome to the life of the Hengdian Laborer. In the entertainment industry, taking a break to study a script or refine a character is a luxury. But for Su Kai, it's a foreign concept. Since his breakout, he has moved from one film set to the next with the mechanical efficiency of a factory worker. He has effectively become a permanent resident of Hengdian World Studios, living in the same hotels, wearing the same costumes, and playing the same recycled versions of the handsome hero. This laborer mindset has created a devastating ripple effect. When you film 3 or 4 dramas a year back-to-back, there is no time for soul-searching. You don't live the character. You just memorize the lines and wait for the director to yell next. The result is a filmography filled with fast-fashion dramas, disposable, forgettable, and increasingly mediocre. He isn't choosing projects based on artistic merit. He's running a marathon of KPI to please his studio and maintain his visibility. The irony is bitter. By trying to stay in front of the camera at all times, he has made the audience lose interest. There is no mystery, no anticipation, and no growth. He has become a victim of his own stamina, trading his artistic potential for a paycheck and a spot on the production line. While his contemporaries are winning awards, Su Kai is just collecting hours on his time card. He is the most hardworking man in Hengdian, but in the world of art, working hard on the wrong things is just another form of laziness. For an actor whose primary asset is his face, any change in that visual capital is a high-stakes gamble. Enter the era of swollen Su Kai. In recent years, the sharp, chiseled jawline of Fu Heng has often been replaced by what netizens mockingly call the steamed bun face. While fans defend it as a natural physical change or a side effect of fatigue, the harsh truth of the industry remains. In high-definition historical dramas, a lack of physical discipline is visible in every frame. It isn't just about vanity. It's about respect for the character. This weight struggle is a direct symptom of the Hengdian laborer lifestyle. When you move from set to set without a break, your body becomes a vessel for stress and poor diet. But for Su Kai, it seems to be more than just stress. His fluctuating appearance, sometimes sharp on social media but swollen on the actual broadcast, has led to accusations of lifestyle indulgence and a lack of self-control. In dramas like Ancient Love Poetry, His bloated look distracted from the epic romance, making him look less like a powerful god and more like a weary office worker who had a late-night feast. The tragedy of Part 3 is the loss of the ideal image. When an actor loses his physical sharpness, he loses the ability to convince the audience of his character's heroics. By allowing his discipline to slip, Sukai has signaled to the world that he is no longer fighting for the top spot. He is comfortable. And in Cbiz, once a visual king becomes comfortable with being average, the crown starts to slip. He is no longer the man who stole hearts with a look. He is the man whose fans spend more time editing his chin in photos than watching his performance. They say a great actor can create a spark with a stone, but Sukai seems to have the opposite power. Welcome to the chemistry vacuum. Despite being paired with the biggest names in the industry, from the drama queen Yang Mi to the Oscar-level Zhou Dongyu, Sukai's romantic performances often feel like two strangers waiting for the same bus. On paper, these pairings should be explosive. On screen, they are remarkably flat. He doesn't look at his co-stars with desire. He looks at them like he's trying to remember his next line. The most glaring example was She and Her Perfect Husband. Paired with Yang Mi, one of the most charismatic actresses in China, Sukai looked completely out of his league. While Yang Mi tried to pull emotion from him, he remained a wooden block, offering a vacant stare that killed the romantic tension in every scene. In ancient love poetry, his lack of connection with Zhou Dongyu turned an epic sacrifice into a tedious chore for the audience. He isn't reacting to his partners. He is simply standing next to them, protecting his so-so image while they do the heavy lifting. The tragedy of Part 4 is the wasted potential of these golden pairings. When a leading man cannot generate CP sense, couple sense, the entire drama collapses. This vacuum exists because Sukai is too focused on himself, how he looks, how he stands, and how he delivers his dialogue without breaking his cool facade. He has become a black hole of charisma, swallowing the energy of his leading ladies and leaving the audience with nothing but a pretty, empty frame. In the world of romance, Sukai is a solo performer in a duet, and the silence is deafening. If acting is the art of transformation, Sukai has become a master of the static pose. Welcome to the era of the acting stagnation. After nearly a decade in the industry, Sukai has developed a signature style that can only be described as sleepwalking through the script. Whether he is playing a high-flying corporate executive, a fierce immortal god, or a rebellious youth, his emotional range seems limited to just two settings: blank stare and slightly confused. He has stopped interpreting characters and started merely reciting them. The most frustrating part for critics is his empty eye syndrome. In scenes that require deep sorrow or intense passion, Sukai's eyes often remain vacant, lacking the spark of life that made him famous as Fu Heng. He has fallen into a dangerous comfort zone where he relies on his voice dubbers and the musical score to do the emotional work for him. He moves through his scenes like he's waiting for his shift at the Hengdian factory to end, showing a lack of soul that suggests he has lost his passion for the craft. The tragedy of Part 5 is the death of the actor and the survival of the product. By refusing to take risks, to study, or to challenge his own limitations, Sukai has become a replaceable face in a sea of rising stars. He isn't growing with his roles, he is shrinking within them. In an industry that rewards evolution, his refusal to change is a career death sentence. He is no longer a performer who surprises the audience. He is a performer who has become a predictable, uninspired background element in his own movies. The spark is gone, and all that's left is a handsome shell, sleepwalking toward mediocrity. In the cutthroat world of Cbiz, good enough is the first step toward becoming invisible. Sukai's nickname, So-So, was once a playful joke about his effortless charm, but today, it has become a self-fulfilling prophecy of mediocrity. The expiration date on his visual king status is fast approaching. As a new wave of disciplined, hungry, and talented actors rises to take the spotlight, the beautiful disaster that is Su Kai's career is running out of time. You can only coast on the memory of Fu Heng for so long before the audience demands to see something real. The tragedy of the so-so brand is that it was built on a foundation of wasted potential. By choosing safety over substance and quantity over quality, Su Kai has devalued his own name. He is no longer the must-watch star of the year. He is the safe choice for low-effort web dramas. If he continues to walk this path, he will find himself relegated to the shadows of the industry, a relic of a 2018 craze who forgot that talent needs to be fed to survive. The gilded cage he built in Hengdian is finally closing, and the exit is getting harder to find. The story of Su Kai is a cautionary tale for any artist who thinks beauty is a substitute for growth. He had the world in the palm of his hand, but he traded it for a comfortable routine. As the industry evolves into an era that values authenticity and raw skill, a porcelain idol with no soul has no place at the top. The so-so era is ending, and unless Su Kai finds the courage to break his own image and rebuild from the ashes, he will be remembered not as a legend, but as a fleeting shadow of what could have been.